It's the Mustang Insider Show. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
You're locked into another edition of the Mustang Insider Podcast, a breakdown of everything Cal Poly athletics. We continue on with our fall sports previews. Last week, we chatted with Cal Poly women's soccer head coach Alex Crozier. And as we move down the line in fall sports, it's now time to break down the upcoming Cal Poly women's volleyball season with head coach Caroline Walters in what the Mustangs are hoping for a resurgent 2022 campaign. As always, we'd like to thank our partners for helping us bring this content to you. Dignity Health. You can trust that quality care is just around the corner at French Hospital Medical Center, proud supporter of Cal Poly Athletics. You can learn more at dignityhealth.org/French Hospital, and by Grocery Outlet. Really good stuff going on at Grocery Outlet. Sizzling fajitas, hearty beef sliders, bite-sized mini taco cups, and a mouth-watering Southwest chicken bowl. Mustang fans, you won't want to miss these dishes in the Grocery Outlet Mustang Tailgater Recipe Book. Get all your fresh ingredients at Grocery Outlet's San Luis Obispo store on Madonna and feast up on these yummy tailgating favorites before a game or at home. Download the Mustang Tailgater booklet today on gopoly.com/publications. All right, so the Cal Poly volleyball season just around the corner. Joined now by Caroline Walters, the head coach. It's a busy time for you as you gear up for another season out on the hardwood. But how's the summer been for you? How'd the offseason treat you? And how excited are you to just get to the regular season already?
9 days, Chris. We get to compete against someone else in 9 days. And I think that energy is palpable in our gym. We're excited. We hit the ground running very much, so to speak, this preseason. And a lot of that was by design. We had a lot of returners, starting 5 freshmen for most of the season last year. You got a lot of kids with experience. So it's not going back and teaching every single one of them, from the ground up, or trying to change a lot of things. It's a lot of continuity between the group and bringing a few key incoming kids along for the ride. And so we were able to get into sixes really, really quickly this preseason. A huge credit to our girls. They choose to get here about a month prior to us starting with our double days. So they've been here since the week after July 4th, training, lifting. Our returners, again, have really prepared our younger kids really well in our systems, how we train, why we do things. Beyond that, like even if they were just here, and tossing the balls out and lifting, the toll that double days take on the body in this short amount of time that we have to prepare for a match, the fact that they're here doing that work before, these kids are ready to go. They're ready to jump and swing for the duration that we need them to. And we've been ebbing and flowing our off days just based off of what our trainer tells us they need. And he's been saying they're good to go. So I think this was the longest stretch we've had this preseason of all my 13 prior years here at Cal Poly that we've gone without an off day. And these kids, they're in really good shape. They're playing good level volleyball, and we're excited to see, how this test is going to test out against another opponent.
Yeah, no days off. It's not just a cliche saying. It's the way that Cal Poly volleyball is rolling into this new 2022 campaign. Hey, probably the most frequent question you've been asked is regarding the return of your All-American Maya Dvoracek. Really missed her presence on the floor last year. I know she was on the color commentary for a lot of the broadcasts of the games and instrumental, off the floor, kind of helping out her teammates. But it's just such a big impact to get her talent and her experience back on the floor. How much does she add to this group, and how much better does she make your team?
Yeah, it is. That's the question. That's the question of the hour for everyone, whenever we start talking about this season. And I think the best part for me is that I'm lucky enough to get to answer that question. I think there's a few things that people don't realize about this story. And the first is, after 2019 and her All-American season, and we go into 2020, and in those first few months, we have COVID, and then they go through a tough time and deciding, am I gonna stay? She really had finished her 4 years, and there was a time she had a year left of eligibility, and there was a time where she was deciding between going to play professionally, especially once it was like, no, there's not going to be sports, this next fall. So we had to re-recruit her to stay, you know, and convince her like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good for you. You're good for sure. Like you're a good volleyball player, but you know, for you to be a well-rounded 6 rotation opposite that can go overseas and make some money, you got to get some more serve receive reps. We want to get you with an international ball. These are things we're willing to do, and really encourage her to come back and invest her time. And there were moments, you know, back in that time that I'm like, she's not going to stay. She's going to go play in Europe, and you want what's best for all of your student athletes. Selfishly for our program, we wanted her around. So thankfully she decided to stay. And then unfortunately for her, you know, a few months later, her injury happened. And so the second thing that people don't, I think, realize is this knee injury wasn't your common ACL tear. It wasn't, you know, your common, we're going to go in, we're going to do rehab in 6, 7, 8 months. You're going to be back on track to play. Like there were times initially when doctors and our athletic staff looked at those x-rays that the question was, will she ever walk again? So to have that, I just got chills saying that, to have that as, you know, the expectation or the thought going through a lot of people's minds, to see what she's doing in our gym right now, and volleyball aside, to have seen someone overcome something like that, where you might not walk again, to PRing with what she's touching, to, you know, playing thankfully some high level volleyball, to being the vocal leader for this group. Like it's just an incredible story for these young kids to see, you know, someone that again had no scholarship offers coming out of club and trusted and believed and sat behind Tori and learned. That was a story in and of itself. But this new flip on, you know, what she's been through and the process, and taking her time to rehab, and truly deciding like twice when she could have been like, no, I'm going to go start my life, or I'm going to go overseas and play, to stay here, I think speaks volumes of her care and dedication to this program, which makes everybody around her really excited to play with her.
Yeah, you talk about mastering patience. This will be your first action on the floor since 2019. And to give some context, you kind of touched on it. There was no volleyball season for you guys in the 2020 calendar year. And she was rehabbing from that injury all of last year. So she has persevered through. And I'm sure, as eager as you are to get this new season underway, I'm sure she's 10 times as eager to just kind of put everything that she's been through behind her the last couple of years. I want to talk a little bit about your roster. Seems like this is a good mix of young talent and upperclassmen leadership. When you look at this roster as a whole, what do you like the most about this group? Like, you're sitting there looking at your depth chart, you know, at late at home at night after a practice. Like, what has Caroline Walters fired up about this 2022 team?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail, you know, on the head with this combo of but after, you know, Maya, we have Avalon, Denekashe, and Meredith Phillips that have been around for a long time and have the successes of this program to rely on, and went through a challenging year last year. And again, 2 kids that decided to come back when they didn't have to. It was, you know, their COVID year that they're using for this last year of eligibility. And I think being, you know, on the court with mostly other freshmen last year and going through that learning experience, they've come out more patient. They've come out more understanding. You know, and they need everybody else on the court and learning those lessons and watching these youngsters step up in that role, so that they're more trusting, I think, of the kids that were on the court with them last year that have put in all this work, and seeing that in the last year. And like I said, with them coming early in summer, I think they get to see how hard the freshmen are willing to work. And there have been times in the past where it's like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Like, this might not be a great fit with this kid as we get into double days. And usually they're pretty spot on with those recognitions. And thankfully, this has been a group that, you know, day one, they come in, they're like, everybody here is here for the right reasons. We're going to work hard. It's about the team first. What's best for the team is what's best for each individual. So I think as I look at the roster and I go through, I think we for the first time in a long time, have kids that are completely bought in at the level that it's going to take for this program to succeed. It's not so much about me, the individual player. What awards am I going to get? This is all, we have some team goals that we know we're going to need everyone to accomplish. Specifically, positionally, I think we have a lot of ball control. We've got a lot of smalls on the team. Not a ton of experience in that group. We have a transfer from Boise State, Jolie. She's playing some good, consistent volleyball. And then we've got a group of other kids that's competing, you know, for another DS or in that libero spot as well. So I really like the depth in that position specifically. I think of all of my years here, all of them across the board are at a much higher level than that position has had in a very long time. So I'm excited to see what we can do serve receive wise and defensively with that group. Our setters, I mean, Avalon's done wonderful things for us, but she's being pushed right now, and it's good for her. She has a lot of experience, and that's something obviously we're going to look at as we're going through this preseason as we get to next Friday and making some tough decisions. But a kid, Emmy Bullis, who was a redshirt freshman for us, she was originally committed to Minnesota and decommitted during her recruiting process, and she learned all of last year, and we were lucky that Avalon stayed healthy through that, so that Emmy still has her 4 years of eligibility. But she'll be someone that we'll see on the court for sure this fall. And then the third is a setter named Brooklyn Burns, who comes to us from San Diego. An amazing story there. She was diagnosed with cancer this last club season, and took time off for treatment. And in all honesty, and we told her this too, we didn't know what she would look like on day one. And she's been holding her own with those other two girls. So it's probably the most competitive 6-on-6 that we've had in our gym in a long time. So it's nice to see depth in those two positions in general, and just a good group of girls overall.
Yeah, you mentioned the portal giveth, the portal taketh, right? I mean, Jolay Akima comes in, newcomer from Boise State. You had to replace your entire back row this offseason, right? So what's the biggest adjustment for a newcomer like that to make on defense?
Good question. I think, and not so much for her. And as you mentioned that, we're doing a few things defensively that are a little different than last year. We're trying to simplify some stuff. We have my volunteer assistant, Winston Stearns, is a magician with statistics and what he's able to provide me and show me. And so all of these changes and decisions are based, heavy in stats and where were we deficient in 21 and what is the data showing us. So we've made some small adjustments to our defense. So the nice thing I think for Jolay coming in was it wasn't necessarily, hey, Jolay, get up to speed with all these things. It was, hey, everyone, here's what we're doing and why. And let's all, be really great at making these changes. So defense and serve receive, we've made 2 small changes, and both of those have been the focal point for us over the last few weeks, week, I guess. It feels like a few weeks because we're doing a lot of good stuff in here. But we've been paying a ton of attention to that across the board. So I think it's been nice to see that connectivity between her and the returning kids. Like they're both having to learn a few little things that we've done, these nuances and changes. So I think she's fitting right in with the group. It's fun to see her compete along with all the newcomers.
Season opener set for August 26th. That's a Friday morning match at Utah State as part of the Utah State tournament. Then it's UCLA the next day. They're nationally ranked in the preseason polls. You guys are no strangers to them. Before you close out that road trip, you have a little one-off game at Utah Valley as well. So how much do you feel like you'll learn about this team after those first 3 games in Utah?
A lot. It's a new group, and you're competing against yourself for so long. You're looking at stats, but yeah, until those bright lights come on, and we'll get our jerseys on before that. But until that first match, you're setting up, you're talking about it a lot. You're trying also to send the message. I don't expect them to be playing their best volleyball on Friday. I don't expect them to be playing their best volleyball on Saturday or Monday either. We're working towards something where we need to be playing our best volleyball at the end of the season. So these tests are going to show us what we need to do. A little anomaly with our schedule and not playing second weekend. We have 30 matches this year, which is a typical amount of matches for us. So adding those 2 Big West matches allows us a little bit of flexibility to take weekend 2 off and to go play these 3 matches, get back, watch film, get back to the drawing board, so to speak, on where do we need to make some small changes heading into weekend 3 to be more successful or to continue. What did we really like? So it'll be nice to have some time after getting on the road, and seeing, okay, we really like this. We need to make a small change here. I'm happy with how that all played out. And when we get that little break, because from there on, it's going to be go, 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 all the way through Big West play.
Yeah, it's going to be a hectic stretch. Your first 10 matches will be away from the Central Coast. You go to Utah, then up to the Pacific Northwest. Really good competition up there with Northwestern, Pepperdine, Washington. You even play similar to that Utah Valley game. You get another one under your belt before you leave town as you go to Portland State. And then off to Northern Colorado for that final non-conference stretch. Big West opener and the home opener for your team will be September 23rd against a new look Long Beach State program. Want to get your early impressions on the conference. It was a 3-bid conference back in 2019. One bid last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Just the Hawaii going as the regular season champ, the automatic qualifier. So is this a year where maybe the Big West can kind of get back on the national map and get 2-3 programs in the field?
I would expect it to. I expect, with just kind of a few things that have happened in the off season with Long Beach State, getting Tyler Hildebrand from Nebraska, and talk about the transfer portal like that. If you want to see what a new team looks like, that is the team to look like. Just they've kind of completely wiped out what's going on. So who knows with Long Beach State, it's going to be a completely different roster with a completely different brand of volleyball, but they'll be athletic. These kids are coming from some big name programs. So, there's going to be, give credit where credit due. He recruited well, and we'll see what that's going to look like. Santa Barbara didn't lose very many people. They're going to be super fast to the pins as they were last year. Some funny matches with them, kind of stomping on us at home and us going and returning the favor away last year. So I feel like that rivalry, it's heated, and that's what we expect year in, year out. And obviously with Hawaii, going and being able to play in front of that many fans in a historic volleyball gym, and the battles we've had here in Mott, we're expecting that to continue as well. So people are doing the right thing with who they're playing in the preseason. The game it's this RPI game, and how can we all help each other as a conference and play these teams that are winning 20 matches in a season, a Utah State, a Portland State, a Utah Valley, a Utah State actually as well, and a Portland State for us, and Northern Colorado. Those 4 schools, really, you look at them, and yeah, there's the UCLA, there's the Pepperdine, there's the Washington. You look at those other 4 schools though, with what they're doing in season and how you kind of play this RPI game, and that's really what we're clinging to in terms of this at-large opportunity. You have to play well against those teams, and hopefully you're pulling away with wins. And you're competitive, and hopefully, playing some good volleyball against the others. And yeah, hopefully we'll be right there with them. But those other 4 are huge as it relates to the at-large and RPI.
Should be an exciting season, especially that rivalry matchup with UC Santa Barbara. It was announced last week that the match in Santa Barbara at the Thunderdome will be nationally televised on ESPNU. So Mustang fans, let's get some green in that building. Let's make it kind of a home match on the road on national TV. Coach, thank you so much for your time. I know this is a busy time for you as you gear up for a new campaign, but we wish you the best of luck, safe travels, and hope we're catching up and having some fun conversations throughout the year.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. We're excited to see everyone for that Long Beach match, and ride high.
All right. Go Mustangs. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield's presentation on the Cal Poly Sports Network.